Let's go back to our top story from central London. Oxford Street Tube Station has reopened, we are told, after it was evacuated over reports of shots being fired. London police say their operation has finished too. They say they have found no casualties or suspects. Bond Street Station has also been reopened. Well, let's go live to the scene now and speak with Issa Ali, our correspondent, who's been there for the last hour or so for us. Issa, just bring us up to date then, because it seems like police are winding things down.
Yes, Andrew, at around 20 to 5 there were reports of gunfire coming through from Oxford Circus station, and we've spoken to some eyewitnesses in the area who said that they saw hundreds of people streaming, running out of Oxford Circus station and down here into Regent Street. Now, of course, to put this into context, today is Black Friday, which is one of the busiest, if not the busiest shopping day of the year. Many sales are on, many people trying to get those deals before the Christmas holidays, and so people here really busy area. Tens if not hundreds of thousands of people would have been in the immediate vicinity of the station, and so what happened was those people were evacuated from there. Other people were being told by police to run into various shops, screamed at to go into different shops and to take cover. And then we had heard from the Metropolitan Police, who said that they were treating it as if it was a terrorist incident, but as we've heard since then, they've now stood down the incident and said that they found no deaths or injuries. Actually, we did hear of one report of a minor injury, but that was somebody who got injured in the panic trying to flee from the station, which would really highlight exactly how nervous things are here in the capital, especially this year. We've seen a number of terrorist attacks take place in London, which of course have people on very nervous, but one eyewitness we spoke to said actually the way the police responded to the incident made people more nervous and panicked by screaming at them. So he said that they should have perhaps exuded more calm. But in any case, what was feared to have possibly been a terrorist incident here at Oxford Circus looks now to have been a false alarm, as these roads, which were cordoned off about 20 minutes ago, are now open with shoppers again trying to get those sales ahead of the Christmas holidays.
OK, thanks, Issa. That was Issa Ali there for us in the centre of London. So the streets seem to be reopening and the alarm seems to be receding. Let's get the views now of former British Army intelligence officer Chris Hunter. He joins us live to discuss what's happened over the last hour a bit further. Chris, good evening.
Hi.
There you are. Good to have you on. Look, we were just discussing there the police response. I mean, when you look at it, it was very rapid and comprehensive, wasn't it?
It was, yes. And of course, you know, the police and our security services, we look at potential targets all the time. We look at certain days of the year. We look at the likelihood of certain events being targeted. And certainly what we saw here was Black Friday, as your correspondent mentioned. You know, one of the busiest shopping areas in Europe on this particular day. Of course, it's a high-profile target. And we know that there are obviously Islamist extremists in particular who are looking to target crowded areas, mass populated areas. So it was certainly viable, but it was really good to see that the police response was instant. It was, in my view, certainly measured and proportional. And, you know, there are four key priorities: preservation of life, preservation of property, preservation and collection of forensic evidence, and the key one, restoring the situation to normal as soon as possible, which is exactly what they've done. So I think, you know, it's quite a good response. The concern now, of course, is the ramifications and the implications around the rest of London and the transport system, and of course the economy on such a busy day.
Yeah, Chris, I suppose too it does reflect, doesn't it, how nervous the country is. It's still on, you know, a high state of alert too with relation to terrorism.
Well, I think, you know, the key phrase that you know, the authorities use, and that I certainly subscribe to, is, you know, be alert but not alarmed. Business as usual. But of course, people have to be more cognizant of the threat. It would be naive and foolish to, you know, to not be so. But also, you know, I think people have to get on with their lives, and we've got Christmas coming up. Today is the day that many people go to actually begin or, you know, consolidate their Christmas shop. But the point I mentioned earlier about the ramifications, you know, we saw Bond Street close, we saw Oxford Circus close. You know, they are on very, very key routes for you know, citizens travelling around the capital. We've seen Canary Wharf, Europe's largest financial district, was closed, and certainly about 15 minutes ago before this broadcast, it was still closed, and that has ramifications, of course, as well. So, the importance of a measured, proportionate response, which I felt was very, very good. If you have to shout at the population, if you have to shout at citizens and crowds to get them to move, to instill that sort of sense of, drive amongst them, I certainly do subscribe to that. But I think the key point is, they've very, very quickly discounted a terror threat, and they've, back to business as usual.
Sure. Just on that point, Chris, I don't know if you heard that comment that our correspondent got from a member of the public who was critical of the police, saying the police shouting at everybody seemed to make matters worse and sort of made people panic a little bit. And there was, according to reports, a bit of a stampede too to get out of the tube station. Is that fair comment? Do you think the police could be more calm?
No, I mean, I think, it's very, very easy to criticise from the comfort of an armchair or a studio, but, the person on the ground is a different situation. And certainly I've been in my military experience in situations where I've been dealing with crowds of very panicky, very concerned people who are worried about their lives, whether it's bomb disposal or hostage rescue operations, and sometimes you've just got to grip them. You've got to be firm, you've got to be assertive, because that's the only way to elicit a response, because you've got to get the people out of there as quickly as possible, and if you can't find the harm and remove the harm, then you've got to remove the innocent people from the harm and from the threat. And that's exactly what they did, and I certainly, commend them for it.
Do you think the public, I know it's hard for you to say exactly, but do you think the public will be feeling more secure having seen the police response, or perhaps more frightened about doing their Christmas shopping?
Well, I'm in London right now. Other than the streets being very packed and congested with traffic, people have gone back to business as usual. I think, we're an island nation. We've been in conflict for many, many years. There's only 1 year in the last sort of 100 years, or certainly since the Second World War, that a British serviceman hasn't been injured or killed in conflict around the world. We're used to this sort of thing. We're used to conflict, but most importantly, we're used to normal, everyday living that anyone else around the world is. So I don't think people are necessarily scared and panicked. I think, this will have certainly sent a shot across the bows. It'll make them more aware of the potential threats, but most importantly, with the exception of the one, possible injury that we've heard of from the lady being evacuated, I think it was a very, very good response. People reacted and responded well under the circumstances. I think the police did very well. And most importantly, it's business as usual. We've gone back to restore the situation to normal as quickly as possible. And I think people can go about their business now, in relative comfort and safety.
OK, let's hope that remains the case. Chris, nice to talk to you. We'll leave it there. That was Chris Hunter, former British Army intelligence officer. Thank you.